Let's hear them sleigh bells ringing and jing, jing, jingling too. Oh yes, it's lovely weather for a train ride together with you. Woo! That time of year, guys. Today I'm going to talk about a movie that I've had some major issues with for a while now, and that movie is The Polar Express. I saw this movie when it first came out in 2004, and even then, I was very skeptical of it. I was a child, and I guess I was still a woke progressive who wanted to destroy traditions. And now that I'm an adult, I am officially declaring war on Christmas. That's right.
Batten the hatches, fire up the cannons. If you see a mall Santa, kill on sight.
No, don't do that. The first thing I'm going to talk about is, whoa, there's some big elephant in this room. And that is the animation. These people look freaky. Every single person in this is like the most disturbing, grotesque, disgusting looking person I've ever seen. Something about the way that their mouths move and their uncanny facial expressions.
Caribou!
They made the creative decision to do this motion capture thing where they were trying to take like the actual facial movements of actual people and then animate them, and it ended up just making them look so freaky. And as a kid, I clocked that. I said, oh, why do they look like that? Freaky, not good, sorry. Some of the animation sequences are dynamic. We start off the movie, and there's a little boy. His name is Hero Boy. That's the character name. And he is having some doubts. He's struggling with his beliefs in Santa. It's kind of funny. He has this scrapbook of his evidence in the case against Santa, and it's about like mall Santas. So this kid is a skeptic. And then goes to sleep on Christmas night. But then he wakes up, maybe, to the sound of and then Polar Express outside his front door. He runs outside. He's in the freezing cold, first of all, and doesn't seem to react to that. But then Tom Hanks, animated scary, comes out and goes, well, you're coming? And then this kid's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, well, no, North Pole. Okay. This kid initially is like, never know, I'm fine. And then he goes, well, suit yourself. And then the train starts moving, but then this kid impulsively is like, wait, actually, I'm gonna run on the train. He gets on the train, he's able to get on, whatever. Then he sits down. We meet the other cast of characters. One of them is this girl. Her name is Hero Girl. She doesn't have a name. She's kind of a baddie, but she has like a weird vibe. Because he's just like sitting there. There's a bunch of kids in there, and then this girl is sitting like across the aisle, and she's just sitting there like this. Looking at him looking at him like that. She's like, what the fuck are you looking at? And then we meet the worst person I think I've ever seen on a film.
Hey! Hey, you! Hey, you! Yeah, you! Do you know what kind of train this is?
My mortal enemy. Of all the people that need to shut the fuck up, this kid needs to shut the fuck up the most. He is so annoying. Talking about, don't get train it in, don't get train it in. And then Hero Girl over here goes, it's a magic train. I know it's a magic train.
Actually, it's a Baldwin 284 S3 class Berkshire type steam locomotive. Built in 1931 at the Baldwin Locomotive Works. It weighs 450.
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God, this kid needs to stop talking. Every time he said anything, I was like, Jesus Christ. They just let anyone on this train, I guess. Before they leave the town, they go past this department store, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's this famous department store. Look. And then he looks outside, and there's this like animatronic Santa inside of the store. And of course it's like an animatronic decoration, right? But then the kid looks at it like, oh, Santa? And then he like sees in the back there's like this wind up thing, and he's like, ugh, see, not really Santa. But I was like, is this kid an idiot or something? Like, are we to believe that he actually thought that Santa was inside of that store and now But then they're like, one last stop. And the stop is for this kid. It's like the only person with a name. His name is Billy. And Billy is living in this dilapidated old shack. It is a poor little house for meek people who will inherit the earth. Billy's family will be inheriting the earth. I'll tell you that. Billy has the same thing told to him as Hero Boy. Going to the North Pole, whatever. Billy's like, no, you kind of see this from a distance. So then the train starts moving, but then Billy is actually like, wait, I want to do it. Same exact thing as the little Hero Boy. But Billy's got big ass boots on, so he can't run as fast. He gets left behind. But then Hero Boy is like, I gotta save this poor boy. He runs, pulls the emergency brake, whole train comes to a halt. Little Billy Boy comes on, looks at Hero Boy through the little window. Hero Boy looks at him, waves, and then Billy fucking swerves him, goes to the other car, where no one is sitting. Billy literally just said, okay. He pulled the emergency brake for you. Conductor comes out, he's like, what in tarnation? This guy is weird, dude. This conductor is strange. The way he talks to these children, there are a bunch of kids in this car. And I don't think that any of them knew what was happening. They were just along for the ride, the train ride. He talks to them as if they like booked a ticket, as if they are like patrons, or as if they're supposed to know what's going on. He's like, you guys, we have to make it to the North Pole before midnight, don't you know? No, actually, I don't know that. None of this was explained. I am a child. I'm just a little boy. They tell Tom Hanks, they're like, no, we're just trying to stop the train so that little poor boy could get on. And then Tom Hanks is like, okay. So after that, Tom Hanks is like, anybody want some refreshments? And then all the kids are like, woo. And then all of these chef people come out and they're all hot, hot. Ooh, we got it. Hot, hot. Yeah, we got it. They're all dancing around. There are so many ways in which these kids could get fucking brutalized, where they could get kicked in the face, they could get flipped over, because these guys are in a small space. They're doing flips, they're doing tap dances, they're like literally jumping onto non-existent tables. They're like putting the tablecloths on nothing, but then tap dancing on it as if there's a table there, and then doing like flips and stuff. And these kids are having to like get out of the way. Oh, I'm telling you, like in real life, I know it's magic, but in real life, 15 kids would get their face kicked in because of a stupid Hot Chocolate song, but apparently they liked it. So then after this is when the movie becomes really stupid. And I say that because they tried to create stakes where they do not exist. And that is with these golden tickets, Willy Wonka style. Tom Hanks comes through and he's like, tickets please, everybody get your tickets. And of course this little Hero Boy is like, I don't have a ticket. You came and parked your train in my front lawn and then told me to get on. And then I did. What are you talking about? I didn't book a ticket. Tom Hanks is like, look in your pocket. So he does. He has a hole in his pocket because he ripped it. He's like, check your other pocket, stupid. He has an attitude with this kid who has no idea what's going on. He pulls out golden ticket and then he punches it, right? Well, this hero girl saw that Billy was in the other car. He's not gonna get any hot chocolate. So she like hid one under her chair, and then afterward, she takes it and goes to the car to bring him some hot chocolate. She's a kind person. She left her ticket there, and it never got punched for some reason. Tom Hanks just didn't punch it for some reason. So then, for some reason, this Hero Boy, he's all, oh, I have to get her ticket. She left it behind. What's gonna happen if she left it behind? He like gets all flustered about this for no reason. Somehow he fucks up so badly that in trying to get it to her, the ticket ends up blowing outside of the train. And then it has this whole sequence thing where it like travels along, blah, 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 blah. But then it ends up back on the train. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Why are they even putting any emphasis on these tickets when they didn't even have them to begin with? There was no information given to these actual children about how important the tickets were. Why do they even need a ticket? Are they really implying that they couldn't get on the train without a ticket? Even though they got on a train without a ticket? It was stupid. He's like holding his head in shame. Hero girl comes back, sits down, and then Tom Hanks is like, Actually, I don't think I punched her ticket, ma'am. And then she was like, oh, wait, I left it here and now it's gone. And then Tom Hanks is like, oh, you don't have a ticket? And then she's like, no, I guess not, I lost it. But then Hero Boy stands up and goes, I lost her ticket, actually. I was trying to bring it back to you. And then Tom Hanks is like, well, you don't have a ticket, so come on. He's like all mad. And then this asshole kid, he's like, they're gonna throw off the train. They're gonna throw off the back of the train. And they actually like make it seem like that's what's gonna happen, which is crazy. Tom Hanks brings this little girl to the back of the train. Meanwhile, Hero Boy is like, no, I'm a bad person. I have to pull the emergency thing again. But then he sees that the ticket ended up in like the vent thing. I don't know, stupid. Grabs it. And then he's like, now I have to bring this to them. And he does this again. He like is trying to get to the other train car. He's like running to the back. And then he sees that they got on the back of the train car outside in the freezing cold, climbed up onto the top of the train car so that they could walk to the front on the top, because apparently they couldn't have just gone to the front inside of it. What? Tom Hanks, why did you bring this little girl to the back just to get up to the top and then walk to the front? Why did you do that? Hero Boy climbs up to the top. He's like, wait, I have your ticket, but they can't hear it. Also, they're up in like the Arctic tundra at this point or something. I know it's a magic train, but it's still gotta be cold. And he's just in his little robe and his slippers. And like, never responds to that. And then this is when we find out that it's not just a train. It's a haunted train. Ooh, maybe. Then he runs into another guy played by Tom Hanks. He's this weird ghost hobo man, and he's sitting on the top of the train, and he has like a fire that's not going out, even though this train is like moving at high speeds and there's like wind or whatever. Doesn't matter, it's magic. So then he's like, you're looking for a girl. Oh, we gotta go find that girl. This is all made up. This is all hocus pocus. You know that Christmas is fake and Santa's not real, and he's just a department store guy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The Hero Boy's like, you have a ticket? And he's like, nah, I ride this for free. And I was like, they all rode it for free. What are you talking about? None of them paid to be on this train, but okay. So I don't really understand the point of this ghost character. It was weird, dude. Like, it's just this like creepy old man who is like washing his socks, and then he gives him like nasty coffee. He gets up and he's like, do you believe in ghosts? The kid's like, no. And then he's like, interesting. And then he just like walks away. Why is it a haunted train? What? I mean, like, it was already a magic train. Why does it have to be haunted too? I don't understand the point of that guy. So much of this movie is them just like insisting on these stakes that are not real. What happens next is he's still at the back of the train where he just climbed up, right? This ghost guy comes back and has these skis on, and he's like, come on, we gotta go now, it's important, whatever. And then the kid's like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, we gotta get to the front of the train before we reach this tunnel, because there's only 1 inch at the top, and then you'll get hit by the tunnel if you're just up here still. And I was like, then just bring him to the fucking back of the train where he is right now. They have a whole thing where he almost falls off of the back. And I'm like, don't let him fall off the back, but like set him down and let him climb down the ladder. But then like he almost falls off the back, but then he pulls him back up, and then he starts going to the front again. I was like, put him in the back. Why do you have to bring him up to the front and go up the skis? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, it's this whole thing where they're like, oh wow, he almost died, but then he made it by like jumping into the coals. And then the ghost guy gets like obliterated, but he's a ghost, so it doesn't matter. He kind of like just vaporizes, and it's like, wow. But then he gets in the coals. Okay, so first of all, this train uses coals? I thought this was a magic train. Why does a magic train need to use fossil fuels? I guess even Santa Claus is a slave to the capitalist notion of Christmas. But anyway, then he sees that this little girl is up there the one who we thought was getting thrown off the train. She's like, he's let me drive the train. What? You're letting this little girl drive a train? And she's like, it's easy. You just have to pull this lever and do that. And this thing is the horn or whatever. And then there are these annoying characters who, there are like the people actually controlling the train, and they are horribly unqualified. Characteristically not qualified to be driving any train, let alone a train full of children. They're up at the front just like praying to God they don't fall off while they're trying to replace the light at the front. And then they see up ahead that there's something going on, and then they're yelling, "Stop the train! Stop the train!" to the 11-year-old or whatever in the driver's seat. And then she's like, "Oh, they want us to stop the train. You have to twist this," or whatever. And then he's like, "Are you sure it's not the red lever right here?" And I'm like, why are you even questioning her? You were not here when it was explained. Why are you questioning her? And she's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, you leave her alone. She was here for the explanation. You are not. So then she starts doubting herself. And then it's this whole stupid thing, but then they push it and then it stops. And she was right. And then it's a bunch of caribou in the middle of the road. And then this is one of the most disturbing sequences set to video. They pull on this man's beard and he starts doing caribou noises. He's able to communicate with the caribou. I think he said something like offensive to them, because the way this caribou looks at him, he's like, Jesus Christ, oh my God. Like that caribou looked offended. So now that's all taken care of. She gets her ticket back, and then Tom Hanks is there and he's like, "Oh, you have your ticket. That means you can join the rest of them." I'm like, so then they're up at the front, and then everything goes wrong. The train is like flying off the tracks because the tracks are like frozen over. Literally, this train is going buck wild. It is flying around, flinging around. It's on the ice. The ice starts breaking. Everything's crashing. And then they have to freaking go into overdrive. And then they have to get onto the tracks. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare situation. They're literally just like plowing forward on this like sheet of ice with no tracks. And then they have to like steer it and blah, 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 blah. And then the ice is crashing behind them. And then literally the trains are like in the ice, and then they are able to get onto the tracks at the end of the ice, and then it all lines up and they're all fine or whatever. But that car full of children was fully underwater at one point. I hope that they had some good sealant on them, those trains, because like, unless if that's not the case, it would have been like the Titanic up in there. So they're walking through the train, and then they get into this room filled with all these like dilapidated toys, which I was like, why is this even on the train? It's like a weird thing to have on the Polar Express. Like, why do you have all these like toys? And then little hero girl's like, it makes me want to cry seeing toys that were treated this way. And I'm like, girl, they're just toys. Like, there's toys. Like, it's wasteful or whatever, but like, why do you care? Why do you have like an emotional attachment to like a doll that's not even yours? It's not a person. It's not like alive. But then it has this weird like dark and scary turn where this like puppet Ebenezer Scrooge comes to life. He's like, "You're a doubter, you're a doubter," like talking to the hero boy. And then it shows it's like controlled by the ghost guy. So it's like this ghost guy is just there to like taunt the hero boy about believing in Santa. I burped. Why are you taunting him about this? Like, they're going to the North Pole. He's gonna see it. Does this guy not know where it's going? What is the point? Then they go back there. And then they look back. And that little Billy kid is still just like sitting there by himself. He's all... And then they're like, okay, well, let's go join him or whatever. And then they're like, they go back there. And then this little Billy kid is like out in the back, and he starts singing this song. La 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 la. I'm wishing on a star and trying to believe. So this is weird because it just turns into a musical all of a sudden. I guess they had that hot chocolate song, but that felt like it was like a pre-rehearsed thing by the waiter people. Like it seems like that's something that they had planned to do. But then suddenly these kids who were just regular children were just like singing a non-diegetic song. Okay. And this kid is singing about how he's poor and how Christmas hasn't really worked for him and how he guesses that Santa's busy because he's never been around. And at first glance, you're like, oh yeah, that's sad. He's poor. He doesn't, he hasn't had the same experiences as a lot of his peers. But then at second thought, you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Santa's real. Why hasn't he gotten any presents? Well, why is it that the poor kid doesn't get any presents on Christmas? Hello, Santa? You there? It's like they want it both ways, right? They want to have a movie where Santa's real. It's like a whole thing about believing in Santa. But then they also want to have you feel sympathetic for a poor kid who can't afford Christmas. Both can't be true at the same time. Because if Santa's real and he's giving gifts to kids all over the world, why would he discriminate against the poor kids? You can't have it both ways, movie. He's singing this song and he's singing about how he's like sad. But then this little girl comes up and she's like, Christmas is great. Everyone is always home and we always get presents and everything. There's like a food and it's like all just like such a great time. And this kid's like, that's not my experience. And then she's like, well, no, Christmas is wonderful because we all get presents. And he's like, I don't get presents. And she's like, isn't it great? Okay. But then at the end of the song, they like are holding hands or whatever. And then it's like supposed to be a happy song. But when you actually listen to the words, you're like, she is not listening to him. At one point, she's like, with all this Christmas cheer, it's hard to be alone. And she's saying that as if it's like a happy thing. And this kid's like, yeah, it is. It is hard to be alone. And she's like, yeah, Christmas. Finally, they get to the North Pole. They see the elves.
Look! Elves!
The elves are freaky. I'm gonna say it. They are freaky. It's not because they're little. It's because they have these like haggard faces. And they all have these weird voices.
Trust me.
And they're always flipping around, doing weird little stunts for no reason. You see a big group of them walking. They're just walk, walk, walk. Suddenly, one of them does a flip, and then like the next one does a little cartwheel. They're just like doing like somersaults and shit, just like walking down the street. If I saw one of those, I don't know if that's problematic. I don't like it. Billy does not want to get off the train. Tom Hanks is like, everyone, let's go. We're going to see Santa. He's going to choose the kid who gets the first gift of Christmas. And that little fucking asshole, the little know-it-all, I went the first gift of Christmas. I went the first. Shut up. You are not getting anything for Christmas this year because you have been bad. I'm assuming. Been bad to me. You hurt me. Billy's sitting there. As if they didn't just sing that song and it was supposed to have a happy ending. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Little hero boy and little hero girl are like, come on, you have to come with us. You have to go. It's Santa. And this kid's like, I can't. Christmas doesn't work out for me. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're on the Polar Express. You're literally in the North Pole. But then, as they're sitting there, everyone else has already gotten off the train. Somehow the train car that they're on has become unattached to the rest of it, and the train car starts rolling. Oh, great. More peril having to do with a stupidly designed train. Who is designing these trains and then putting kids on them? Because this is a recipe for death. This train's rolling through the North Pole and no one is able to see it because everyone is in like the center of the village or whatever because Santa's almost there. It's like 5 minutes to midnight. It's like 5 minutes to midnight for like the entire movie or something.
Hey, what gives? It was 5 minutes till midnight 4 minutes ago. Exactly.
The train finally stops and they're in this like secluded area that looks like it's for packing gifts and like like bureaucracy within the Christmas exchange, whatever. And then there's just like this other dumb shit that happens that doesn't mean anything because it's just these kids like, we have to get to the center. So they're like walking around and they're putting themselves in danger by walking over these train tracks that are like really, really high. And then they're like creeping on these elves who are like doing last minute little details. And then they like have this thing where they're like, there's been a naughty kid. And it shows like one little area in New Jersey. And they're like, this kid in New Jersey put gum in his hair or whatever. And then it's like, there's only one kid right now who's doing something naughty. I just feel like it would just be constant, like, boop, 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 because kids are always doing nasty, stupid shit. Also, is what they're doing then not considered, like, naughty? Like, sneaking around the elf farm? Over here, these elves, and they're like, this is the only way to the town square or whatever. They get in, and then they... whatever, kids get in there, and then they go, and then they're in another location with all these presents, right? But like one big present comes down, and like Billy's there, and he's like, this one's going to Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is really funny. It's like funny that they chose that as where they live, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And they're like, that's where we live. And they're like, this is going to this address. And Billy's like, that's my address. And they're like, it's to Billy. And then Billy's like, that's me. They found the one present that they found was for one of the 3 kids in that group out of the billions of children in the whole world. Fine, whatever. But then Billy's all excited. He's like, that's my first ever Christmas present. Which I'm like, why is it his first? They all like go down this conveyor belt. They end up in the big Santa sack that gets delivered on the reindeer sleigh. It's getting like airlifted over. But then of course there's more immediate peril where they're like, you're gonna crash into the tree. And then they crash into the tree and then the star falls off. It's just like, why is everything going wrong, dude? People's lives are in danger at every minute. Christmas is dangerous, apparently. Then they get put down, and then the elves find out that they're there. That idiot little boy is in there too, somehow. He like grabs onto Billy's leg, tries to pull him down like he's a freaking Loch Ness monster or something, and then he comes up and it's like a jump scare. It's this fucking kid with his horrible face. They all slide down the thing. They're all standing there waiting for Santa. And apparently there's been these bells the whole time. These bells that have a beautiful little ring. So beautiful. Little hero girl's like, wow, I hear these beautiful bells. And then this little hero boy's like, I don't hear them. What are you talking about? Because apparently you can only hear these bells if you believe in Santa. And I'm like, well, at what point is this boy gonna believe in Santa? He's on the Polar Express, dude, and he doesn't believe in Santa? He made it to the fucking North Pole and he's seeing all these elves. He's like literally there. You don't believe in Santa? So this whole time he can't hear the bells. Then they are like, oh my god, it's almost midnight, Santa's coming. Oh my god, Santa's gonna be here. And then this little boy's like, I still can't hear this bell. He like picks up a bell. And then everyone gets quiet, and then they all start singing, you better watch out, you better not cry. It's really creepy. They start, Santa Claus is coming to town. It's really creepy. They see it in the movie, actually. Santa comes out. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Is that offensive? Little hero boy's like, I can't see, oh my god. And all of them are like, it's Santa. He's like, I can't see. And then he chooses that moment, has his bell, he goes, okay, I believe. And then he shakes it, and then he can hear it ring. And it sounds like a regular bell, to be honest.
I can hear the bells, my head is spinning.
It's like, well, he just had to say that out loud? Was that the whole thing? Did he have to like actually believe? Because what does that mean? It's like he was already there. He was already in the North Pole. How could he have not believed it at that point? When he's hearing it, whatever, he's like so guffawed and gobsmacked that he doesn't even notice that Santa walks right next to him, and then he looks up and he's like, oh, fuck, it's Santa, oh shit.
You got games on your phone?
And then this Santa's like, oh, you really figured this out. He says something like that. So then Santa's just kind of like going through and like giving little words of affirmation to a few of the kids, except for the little bitch who is like being annoying. He's like, I want the first present. And Santa like basically is like, hey, shut up. He doesn't say that, but it was in the subtext. And then he says the most egregious thing. He goes up to Billy. Mind you, Santa's the one in charge of presents, correct? Santa has chosen not to give Billy any presents for any Christmas. And assuming that this isn't because Billy has been bad, which he doesn't seem like a bad kid, seems like he'd get on my nerves, but he doesn't seem like a bad kid. This means that Santa has just been choosing to not give him any presents for literally no reason. And you know what Santa says to him? He says, looks like you made some friends. And Billy's like, yeah. And he's like, that's better than any gift. Says the one who gives out gifts? What are you talking about? He's gaslighting this poor little boy. I'm declaring war on Santa right now.
I'm gonna kill Santa Claus.
Anyway, and then he goes, and now we're gonna get the first gift of Christmas to little hero boy. For some reason, I really don't know why he chose him. And then he brings him up in his sleigh, and then he goes, what do you want for Christmas? And then he whispers something in his ear, and he's like, oh, okay, sure. Gives him the bell that he picked up. But then, oh no, Chekhov's little gun. He put the bell in his pocket, but he forgot that his pocket had a hole in it. So then it fell out. And he doesn't even notice till they're back on the train. And then he's like, everyone's like, I want to see the bell. And he's like, well, here it is. There's a hole in my pocket, dear Linda. He's all depressed. He's all sad. Which I'm like, okay, like, sorry, it's a bell, first of all. And they're making their, like, train stops. And it's it's an interesting thought to think of them having, like, train stops at these people's houses that are, like, scheduled. Like, they have a schedule to keep with these, like, people's, like, actual addresses. When they picked up Billy, that little nerdy bitch was like, I thought that you were supposed to be the last stop. Which I was like, how would you know that, first of all? They get to Billy's house, and then Billy walks out, and then he looks, and he's like, oh, wow. He runs over, and then he grabs it. He has the present that he saw earlier. He's like, wow, I got it. Woo! I was like, okay, well, yeah, cool. You got a present. Great. What now?
So?
No, I'm saying
what now?
Little hero boy gets home. He and little hero girl hug. They leave. He's sad. He gets inside, goes to bed, wakes up when his sister's like, Santa came. And he's like, wow. Looks around. Everything in his room is in order. Which, if you'll remember, everything got knocked over when the train came. He's like, interesting. He grabs his robe. The pocket rips again. And all his marbles fall out. So it's like, oh, his pocket wasn't ripped. So, was this all a dream? Oh no. And this is where it's annoying, because it seems like they could just chalk any issue up by saying, well, it's just a dream, so it doesn't matter. Except it's not. Because then, later, they open up all the presents, and they find one more, and it's for a little hero boy, and then he opens it, and then it's the bell from Santa, and he writes a little message. He's like, I found this in my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. So then I was like, well, so did he have a hole in his pocket or not? I guess, like, they could just chalk that up to magic, I guess. Like, everything that happened just kind of got reversed in the middle of the night when he got back or whatever, but nope. It is confirmed Santa is real. So that's why this doesn't make any sense, this next part, because he can hear the bell, right? He and his little sister, they hear the bell. His parents come up. They're weirdly invested in this little bell. They're like, oh, look, you got a bell. Pick it up. They can't hear it. They don't hear the bell, which I'm like, if Santa is real in this universe, where do they think that these presents are coming from? Do they think that the presents are just appearing from the Salvation Army or something? Do they think it's like Meals on Wheels, but for presents, but for everybody? And that Santa's fake, but they all get presents anyway? Why can't they hear the bell? Why do they stop believing in Santa when they still get presents? At the very end, he's like, I never stopped hearing the bell. And it's like, okay, you shouldn't, because it seems like it's just common knowledge that Santa's real. But then it doesn't make any sense. It's another one of those things. They want it both ways. They want to make a movie where Santa's real, and also they want to make a movie about like losing the magic of Christmas that you had as a kid. And it doesn't work. Not in this way. Not in this way. And that's the end of the movie. Look, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, okay? If you like this movie, that's totally fine. I personally think that The Grinch is the best movie. The Jim Carrey one. So clearly, I am not the arbiter of good films. I'm just gonna say, I don't like it. I think it's annoying. I think it's ugly. And I'm gonna kill that kid.
Actually, it's a Baldwin 284 S3 class Berkshire type steam locomotive, built in 1931 at the Baldwin Locomotive Works. It weighs 456,100 pounds. It has a